Okay, so being me, I just absolutely had to let my cat and my dog in here as soon as I decided to shoot this vid. So, do you hear that? That's my cat picking at my yoga mat. Anyway, sorry I've been away, okay? But I'm finally gonna tell you about Disclosure Day and about go to your bed and about Obsession. One was great, the other was shit. Disclosure Day was shit, and Obsession is awesome. Okay, so where do I fucking begin with Disclosure Day? First of all, I was not really super excited about the trailer. Super excited by the trailer. I was like, okay, that looks alright. But because it's Spielberg, I was like, I gotta give it a shot, see where we go with this. What a fucking nightmare, first of all. Okay. So this movie it's not really about like alien invasion. I would say it's more of like a chase movie than an aliens movie. There were aliens in it very briefly, but it wasn't, I wouldn't really say it was the main subject of the movie overall. Do you know what I mean? Okay, please don't ruin my shot, Hutch. Thank you. What a good girl. Okay. So, wow. You know what, you guys, in all seriousness, I was saying that Spielberg's losing touch back when he made Ready Player One, and I fucking meant that, okay? I did. But now I know he's losing touch even more. But anyway, I mean, he's 79. We're going to come back to that in a moment. You guys, this movie, I can't even, can I even summarize this movie? Okay, let's say this movie is about a guy who has incriminating information that he wants to disclose to the world. And this other woman is helping him, and that's the movie. Sorry. It's true. Okay. So our main character, his name is Daniel. He's played by Josh O'Connor, who I actually like. And then our other main character, Smokey. Do you want to go back to your room? Hey! You're going to go back to your room if you keep that up. I'm serious. Cut it out. There's Josh O'Connor playing Daniel. And then there's Emily Blunt playing a woman whose name escapes me completely right now, but I may or may not remember it throughout this review. But she's the other main character. I think her name was Jane. Was her name Jane? I did actually like her. Emily Blunt's great, you guys. She's a great actress. I did thoroughly enjoy her acting. That was probably the best thing about this entire movie. But I mean, even if you're a really great actor like Emily Blunt, if it's a garbage script like Disclosure Day is, good luck. Still not gonna be a good movie. Sorry. I forgot the guy's name, of course, being me. Sorry. But apparently the guy who wrote this wrote 40 drafts of it. When you write 40 drafts of something, it's time to give up. Because there's no reason why you, a practiced screenwriter, should be writing a script 40 different fucking times. Do you understand me? You should, by draft 26, you should be like, you know what? This is just not working. you better fucking figure it out by draft 27, because mate, 40 ain't it. I'll give you guys a similar example of this. Apparently JoJo Siwa recorded that song Karma's a Bitch 6 separate times. Like, they did a full recording of it, 6 different instances. And I'm like, mate, if you have to do that, it's not the right song. I'm sorry. You guys, it's happened to me, okay? I've tried to make videos. Like, I've gotten interrupted and stopped and gotten interrupted and stopped and gotten interrupted and stopped, to the point where I'm just like, forget it. I'm just giving up now, because it's not happening, right? And I'm going to let my dog out and have her come back in maybe 120 seconds. Bye, love you. Anyway, so let's get to the actual plot, if you can call it that. Daniel is this former convict guy who has this incriminating information that he wants to disclose to the world. And he has it physically. He has the physical copies of it. It's footage. I don't know why it's on these weird, like, discs. It's on these weird, like, things that look like this. Not sure what that's about, but beside the point. He has incriminating evidence. He has incriminating footage, and he wants to show it to the world. And the FBI's after him, and he gets messed with at a wrestling game, and then he gets cornered in a freaking parking lot, and whoever the fuck, secret agents or whatever the shit, are like, you gotta give us the backpack. And he's like, no, I'm not giving you the backpack, mate. If that were real, they would shoot you dead, take the backpack, and leave you there. Here's the thing, is that, like, obviously not everything can be realistic within movies, but, like, this is just so absurd and obnoxious, and I hated it. Did I hate it? I mean, 2 out of 10, 3 out of 10, 2 to 3 out of 10, that's failure, right? That would be a failing grade. So I don't know that I hated it. You guys know I'm weird and I like being entertained by garbage movies, even if they're in fact garbage. Okay, so anyway, Josh is on the run. Daniel's on the run once he just magically gets away from these guys with his girlfriend. And you guys, the girlfriend, the gal who played the girlfriend, don't remember her name, sorry, I'm also not looking it up right now. She looked so much like my old neighbor's friend's girlfriend that I met back when I was in LA. I had to do an emergency IMDb search to make sure it wasn't her, or if it was her. It wasn't her, but it was her doppelganger, okay? Anyway, so he was like, they were driving in a car, and there was also this, like, the team of people that stopped him were like this giant team of people with multiple cars, so I guess they just couldn't catch up to him, but I digress. He was like, we gotta go somewhere tonight. It can't be a hotel or an apartment or anything like that. We gotta go somewhere. Mate, if you asked me that, I'd be like, well, fuck, I guess we're camping out in the car, or going to a campground, mate, because where the fuck are we gonna stay? That's not an apartment, an Airbnb, or a hotel. I have nothing. Of course, this girl was like, I know a place. And of course, she was a former, she's okay. She was studying to become a nun. She was trying to become a nun. You guys, it's a little bit complicated on how you become a Catholic nun, okay? It's not like a one-stop shop. I think it might vary slightly by country, but it depends. But she was in America, so she's like, yeah, I know a place we can go to the convent I used to hang out at. So they went there. I'm going to tell you guys, again, for like the 1 millionth time in a movie review, 0 laughs, okay? There were a few jokes in this, and I have probably already told you this, but I'll tell you again, my criteria for laughs is there has to be 1 laugh, okay, equals 3 or more people audibly laughing at a joke in the movie. Okay, that's 1 laugh. If 1 person laughs, doesn't count. 0 laughs. Okay, I think there was supposed to be a joke in this where he was like, so Daniel was like, "You were a nun? Are you still a nun?" And here was the attempted joke where my old acquaintance's doppelganger was like, "We had sex." That was supposed to be a joke. She's like, "We had sex. So I'm not a nun." It was horrible writing, corny writing, awful writing. Anyway, then they go to this safe house. By the way, this guy, we never learn his name, to the best of my knowledge. This guy just, like, keeps showing up. Like, this third guy, okay? So we have Daniel and his girlfriend and this third guy. This third guy just, like, keeps popping up out of nowhere. He just, like, magically knows where Dan is. I thought that was really dumb. But anyway, so that guy swoops in and saves the day when Dan needs a ride or something, and he takes him to a safe house, which is like this random farmhouse in the middle of nowhere. This took place in Kansas, which was kind of interesting, but like not that interesting. Would have been cooler if they had like better, more like Kansas stuff, but I digress. Okay, anyway, it's not like Steven Spielberg knows the geography of any city other than New York and LA, but again, I digress. Okay, yeah, so I'm sorry. I feel like this is so boring. I've been talking for over 10 minutes and I'm fucking bored as fuck. Yeah, honestly, I would say the movie was pretty boring in all seriousness. But anyway, they're at this safe house, and for some reason, Dan is out walking outside, and then, sorry, we have to reel back in a second. Dan's walking outside, and the girlfriend is at the house, and Colin Firth, in a third location, is able to appear to the girl with this equipment in his third location. Okay, there's like this equipment that you wear and it makes you appear to someone else in a different location. Kind of an interesting concept, but it's like partial teleportation, if you will. It's like basically people can be in two places at once, but it's like kind of stupid because like immediately the girlfriend was just like completely hypnotized by Colin Firth. Okay, we're reeling it back because I forgot to introduce the weather gal named Jane, who's our other main character, played by Emily Blunt. And her boyfriend is, I forgot his name in the movie, but he is Kurt Russell's son, and his name is Wyatt Russell. He's actually in one of my very favorite episodes of Black Mirror that fucked me up for like an entire week. So if you want to watch cool science fiction, like go ahead and watch that episode. I don't know what it's called off the top of my head, but beside the point. So she's a forever girlfriend. She's in her late 30s, not married to this guy, living with him in Kansas City. And she's telling him that she wants to move, that she isn't crazy about Kansas City, blah, blah, blah. And then this little cardinal flies in her apartment through the window and just like looks at her, and she stares at it, and then it flies away. I'm bringing up the fact that Spielberg is 79 at this rate because, like, bro, have you been checked for macular degeneration lately? Because, like, holy shit, the CGI looks so bad. And that's why I mean, it doesn't even matter if he has macular degeneration or not, because your vision gets worse as you age. There's no way you're going to have great vision as a 79-year-old, no matter what your fucking status is. But, like, the CGI looks so bad. It looks like trash because it is. I can't even believe it, honestly. I saw a cool comment. Sorry I didn't review the cool comments before I got on here, but someone was like, it's so amazing because back in 1993, Spielberg made dinosaurs look real, and now today in 2026, he's making CGI look like shit. Something to that effect. And I was like, true. Reverting to that level when you're Steven Spielberg. I would be embarrassed. But would I be embarrassed if I didn't even know what I was doing? Hard to say. Anyway, she meets this cardinal, has a little moment with him. He flies away, and then she's speaking Russian. She can magically just like speak another language. And Wyatt Russell, she's speaking Russian to him, and he's like, "Excuse me?" And then she switches over to English, and he's like, "What? You were speaking Russian?" And she was like, "I was." Anyway, she's a weather gal. And then she's fucking speeding to work in her red car. You guys, I hate red cars, okay? I would never drive a red car. I would never be in a relationship with a guy who drove a red car. I probably wouldn't even want to be friends with someone who drives a red car, in all seriousness, because red cars get pulled over the most. They are the most reckless drivers, etc. Okay, but anyway, true to stereotypical form, she's late to work, so she's driving 60 in a fucking 25 area and gets pulled over. Thank God. Of course you should pull someone over if they're driving that fucking crazily. But anyway, the cop is like talking to her, and she's like, and she has this like magical moment with him. Like, she reads his mind, and she's like, oh, she like basically is just like gives him a little summary of his life and like makes him feel better about it because he's, you know, having some stuff going on that made him pull her over. But what fucking cop wouldn't pull someone over who is going 60 and 25? She deserved a ticket, but she didn't get one because she read his mind. Anyway, you guys, I went to the bathroom very briefly at the beginning of this movie, but I really don't think I missed any really critical information, but it was not well established in the movie at all that like there was some kind of massive panic going on and the whole country was like losing their shit, thinking the world was going to end, thinking like nuclear missiles were going to be projected at all of the United States, because like everyone was just panicking for no reason, no really well established reason. And I was like talking to my, I couldn't talk to my husband, but I wanted to be like, what did I miss when I left for 45 seconds? Like, what happened here? But it wasn't well established is my point. But apparently there was some kind of missile panic, nuclear missile panic happening. Oh my word, you guys, I'm gonna be here forever. I'm gonna try not to make this too long because I still have to talk about the other movie that I actually liked. Okay, so Jane, I think that's her name in the movie. Jane gets to work on time because she mind read the cop and convinced him not to give her a ticket she fucking deserved. She gets to work, and then she's about to do she's a weather gal, okay? She's a weather presenter on the Kansas City News. And she's got the camera on her. She's about to give her weather report, but she starts doing this weird, it's in the trailer, okay? She starts doing this weird, like, throaty alien talk. She's like, and she passes out, okay? She was also kind of like mind reading the crew. You guys, it was so funny because the Kansas City News had like this massive crew. They had like hair and makeup and a bunch of fucking sound people and like a shit ton of people like all around the set, which doesn't happen with local news. Steven. The women on there, and I think the men too, they have to do their own hair and makeup. Okay? They don't have a crew like that. But anyway, she was like reading the crew's minds as she was about to go on the air. And they were like, anyway, mate, if someone came up to me and was saying some really personal shit to me that they had no way of knowing, I'd be like, wow, fuck off. Get out of my face right now. Don't be saying those things to me. How rude. Anyway, she passes out on camera, and then as soon as she goes to the doctor, because like they're trying to check her out to make sure she's, you know, not having some kind of neurological problem, and her boyfriend's there, and so she's just like in the hospital, and a doctor's talking to her. They're like, oh, your MRI looks normal, your scan looks normal. And then there are like two random guys in suits like standing there, and she's like, who are they? And the doctor's like, oh, they're FBI. I think most people know this who have ever set foot in a hospital, but you can't just say, I'm FBI, and they let you in. That's 100% against their policies, against all hospital policies. Even the shittiest of hospitals don't allow that kind of behavior. They're not just like, oh, I saw your badge, come on in. But that's what happened in the movie. And then Jane and her BF had to flee because she was like, they're not FBI, because now she has the ability to read minds suddenly. And she's like, we have to go east. I can't remember if it was east or not, but she's like, we have to go east to the boyfriend. And then they're zipping out. You guys, I love E.T. I'm actually not even enjoying this video right now because I didn't like this movie so much. I love E.T. and I love Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Okay, those are my E.T. is a movie I'm going to be watching on my deathbed. Okay, I fucking love that movie so much, and I think it's one of the best movies ever made. I really do. And I feel the same about Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Okay, I really do. I am not exaggerating right now. I love that movie. You know what else is that they're bringing back Jaws at some point this summer. My husband and I saw it fucking last year because I had never actually seen it on a big screen. I might just go again, okay? Because it's a great movie and it's really fun to watch on the big screen. You know what I also even liked? I also even liked the Steven Spielberg War of the Worlds from like 2005. I enjoyed that movie. Maybe it was 2006, but I think it was 2005. Enjoyed it very much. I wouldn't put it on the level of E.T. or Close Encounters, but it was a good movie. This is why I'm worried he's going senile, okay? Because this movie was trash. This movie was garbage. This movie should not have happened, okay? You know what? It could have happened, but there was absolutely no reason for it to be 2 hours, 25 minutes. That was totally unnecessary. Someone like Spielberg should know that, but again, I digress. Anyway, so she just magically knows that they have to go east. They have to go east. They have to go east. So she's going east to get to someone. She doesn't know who it is. But she's just gotta go there, right? When I was telling my husband about this movie, because thankfully he didn't watch it, I mentioned this movie. I hope you guys have seen it, because also a great one. Unlike Disclosure Day, it's called Escape to Witch Mountain, the one from the 60s. Okay? Pretty sure it's 60s. That's a fucking great movie. That's a fucking phenomenal movie. That's a fucking 10 out of 10 movie, and I'm surprised that it actually holds up, because most movies that came out in that era are pretty boring. But that one's fucking fire still today, more than 50 years later. Okay? And I'm bringing it up because it's a little bit similar to this movie in that we have these fraternal twins, and I think they were like separated at birth or something, but then they met each other when they were kids, when they were like 10, 11, however old they are in this movie. And the girl starts having these visions, and she's like, okay, we gotta go here. And then they go there. And then, like, there's just this perfect reason that they were there, and you know that it was meant to be. And then they have to, they're somewhere else. Then they have to go somewhere else. And I'm just saying, like, they set it up, like, you're like, why would they have to go there? But then they go there, and, like, it's obviously exactly where they're supposed to be, right? The action keeps growing and building in a really constructive and cool and productive way, but like wasn't happening with this movie because Emily Blunt Jane just like magically knew she had to find someone. She had to go east for some reason, for no reason. And also, I failed to mention, I'm mentioning it now. Fuck, you guys, I wish I knew his name. There's this guy that keeps calling Dan, I think, on his 15 burner phones he just luckily has on hand. And he's like, or maybe he's calling Emily. No, he's calling Dan. He's calling Dan. He's like, Dan, you gotta get here. And like he's got this like he's in this production like area, right? He's got like a set, he's got like a crew, he's got people setting stuff up, and he's just like magically calling Dan. I think he's also magically calling the random guy who keeps showing up for Dan for no fucking reason. But that guy's kind of a popping up and coming actor. I can't remember his name, sorry. But anyway, he's just like randomly calling Dan, and Dan's like, oh, I'm blah blah blah, and then he's anyway, so Emily and Wyatt stop at a gas station to get water, and there's like this huge, like, it's supposed to be like a huge realization where she reads his mind, and she's like, you would have stayed in Kansas City, because remember she was talking about moving earlier. She's like, you wouldn't have moved with me if I moved. And it's like, if that's the case, then I guess you're breaking up. Forever girlfriend, forever boyfriend. Because if he wouldn't move with you, well, then you're not very serious, are you? Pretty simple. But he's like, well, I gotta get something. And he goes into the gas station, and everyone's panicking, buying shit. Like, I don't know what world Spielberg is living in, where if you say some stupid shit on the news that everyone automatically listens and then goes out and does stuff about it. Maybe like a boomer world, maybe like a boomer mentality that we are no longer currently in, because the boomers are like aging out of the workforce. But again, I digress. Okay, so he goes in there and everyone's panicking, buying everything, and then Jane is like, hey, I gotta talk to you, to this random child in a car. I don't know why Spielberg loves doing this so much. He loves having like a random child say like a random line, and I think it's supposed to be funny or entertaining. I'll tell you, that actually would have been way more the fuck entertaining if she had gotten the attention of like a very emo teen, a very emo, like, brooding teen who was then like the person who delivered the line. But like I said, Spielberg's out of touch. How many times am I gonna say that in this vid? Anyway, Wyatt comes out of the gas station, and this little boy is like, hey, mister, just so you know, she said she loves you, but she had to go east. So she ditches him at this random fucking gas station. Anyway, you guys, I'm so tired of talking about this. It's been half an hour. I'm still telling you about Disclosure Day. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna do a quicker summary because I'm so sick of this shit and it's so fucking boring. Obviously, Dan and Jane have to find each other. And that's why she had to go east, was to find him. And he keeps getting, I forgot to tell you guys. So remember the safe house, the random safe house in the middle of nowhere that he's with the girlfriend at? all these like 20 fucking cars show up, and while he's outside on a walk, and then she's getting interrogated by Colin Firth, who's in a second place, and then he just is able to get all kinds of incriminating information out of her immediately, because for some reason it also like fully hypnotizes you, and you just can't resist what's being said, which is stupid. But anyway, so he's at the safe house, and all these fucking people show up because they're trying to get the information from him. And instead of so he sees them show up, he's like kind of far from the house, but he sees them show up. What you fucking do in that case is you get on your stomach and you army crawl as fast as you fucking can to the woods, and that's how you get away, okay? But of course, being a fucking Spielberg out of touch movie, he like goes to the cars. He like walks right the fuck to the people who are pursuing him and steals one of their cars. And then he grabs the girlfriend, and then they make it look like they drove the car off a cliff, which was pretty smart. But they do drive the car off a cliff, which was pretty smart. But anyway, then he's at like a hotel with the girlfriend, and I did not appreciate that robe thing. I thought that was so fucking stupid. Also, Spielberg, just so you know, you got to go to an at least like 4-star hotel to have them have robes. Like, they don't have bathrobes just laying around at roadside motels. Like, the more you know. But anyway, she was like, I'm worried that guy is gonna magically interrogate me again. And so they tie her hands to the bedpost with the robe sash. I thought that was so incredibly fucking stupid. But anyway, then of course the people show up, but also magically that third guy shows up. You guys, I'm going to talk about one more scene, and then we're going to fucking get to the end, because this is way the fuck too long already. So everyone shows up, and the girlfriend stays behind, and Dan gets away, and then he does actually find Jane. They find each other, and I think she has the car. Okay, let me just backtrack a second, because this scene actually really pissed me off. So Emily like calls, I don't know how she calls Dan, but she just like calls him, or he calls her, and they're talking on the phone, and she's in the passenger seat. This is earlier, before she ditched the boyfriend, and the boyfriend's driving, and she's like, oh my god, like she's kind of like panicking, like on edge, obviously, because she's had this weird fucking psychic power ability that just magically showed up out of nowhere because a cardinal looked at her. And she's talking to him. She's like, we're trying to meet, I need to meet you. And he's like, who are you, blah blah blah, I don't know what's going on. And she's just like panicking, and the boyfriend's being a total fucking useless prick. He's like, whoa, it's so weird you're calling that person, get off my phone. Like, mate, that's not happening. Like, men do not treat you that way. Like, you're having, you know what, fucking, if you're having a goddamn maniacal episode, but it's real. See how stupid this is? You guys, I feel so stupid explaining this to you, but this is the actual movie. I'm saying he didn't believe you. He's like, you're acting weird, get off my phone. Incredibly stupid. But okay, I'll tell you another fucking stupid thing that happened a little while before that, which pissed me off and was a fucking waste of time, which Spielberg should know about, but again, I digress. So someone called her on her phone. I think it was the guy with the set who called her on her phone, and he was like, get rid of your phone, destroy your phone. And she was like, okay. So she had the boyfriend run over it with the car, and he was like too stupid to run over it properly in a car, which is pretty impressive, honestly, because I don't know anyone who's that bad at driving. But so they did that scene of him running it over with the car, and then I think this was also supposed to be a joke, which was so obnoxious, but they were on a time crunch, but she made a point to like stomp on the phone after it had been run over by the car, and I was like, that's 30 whole seconds we could have edited from the movie, and then maybe we would have had a 2-hour 24-minute movie. But I digress. Okay, So, oh, you guys. I almost forgot to say this. I'm so glad I saw it in my notes because I was going to forget for real. You guys want to play a fun game? Don't make it a drinking game, okay? Don't do that. You'll die or go to the hospital. You guys want to play a fun game while you're watching a Spielberg movie, okay? It's called Where Is That Light Coming From? Where is that light coming from? Because Spielberg loves throwing in nonsensical light into a ton of shots, into a ton of scenes. Okay, and I get it, you guys. You do have to have nonsensical light, but like, I think you can tell that my light is coming from here and from there. And there's not a lot of light coming from over there because there are actually no lights over there. Imagine if there were like blaring lights coming from over there. Like maybe I would have studio lights, but I actually don't. So anyway, fun game idea to play while watching Spielberg movies. Okay, I wrote, so we're about 30 minutes in. What the fuck is this movie about? Anyway, they end up finding each other, and magically, Dan just runs fast enough away from this group of people fucking again. So then he and Jane are together, going wherever they're going. And he's like, I've got the information, we gotta get there, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I just want to say this quickly before I get to the end of the movie because I'm so sick of describing this to you. There was actually a really fun shot. I mean, this might have been the coolest action shot in the whole movie, but even though it was really obnoxious. So one of the bad guys was chasing after Dan and Jane, and there was like a train coming. There was an oncoming train, and the bad guy was like in a car behind them, and he was like driving them into the train, and then the car got like wedged onto the side of the train, so the train was like dragging the car like that. And then of course there was another train, so the train was like dragging the car like that, and then sorry, I guess it was like that, it was going that direction, and then of course eventually another train came this way. Like, I fucking hate it so much in movies when people are like, literally their life is completely at stake, like they're in danger of dying in a horrible accident. They're like, I'm so scared, I can't move, which is exactly what happened with Emily Blunt, because Dan was like trying to get up onto the train. You guys know Spielberg's autistic. Of course he had to have a train in this movie. Again, I digress. Okay, so he was like trying to help her get out of the car, and there was an oncoming train, and she was like, I'm scared, blah, blah, blah. But what I wanted to say about that was we got a really visible shot of Josh O'Connor's stunt double there. Sloppy Spielberg. Anyway, they finally got onto the train and were rescued or whatever, and then there was like an obnoxious scene of Emily Blunt like panicking in the train car. We didn't need that. They could have just been like, phew, we made it, next scene. Again, then we could have had a 2-hour 20-minute movie, but I digress. Okay, so then, they do end up, Colin Firth and the bad guys do end up capturing Dan at one point, but then Emily just like uses her magical powers to like get into the base and take him, and then like when she's leaving, because there are a bunch of people trying to get to her, like when she's leaving, she like talks to everyone, like she talks to Colin Firth, and she turns into him while he's looking at her. She looks like his dead ex-wife. She says some shit that, you know, he desperately needed to hear from her, and then he just forgot that they wanted her. It wasn't making a lot of sense. Anyway, that's what she did to everyone, and that's how she got out of that situation. And then everyone just listened. Everyone was just like, they were like, oh. I mean, you guys, wouldn't that like? So I'm just kind of surprised by. I guess her other superpower is making people unreasonable, because if I saw someone's who I loved, who I knew for a fact to be dead, look at me, talking to me, telling me a personal thing that I absolutely needed to hear, I'd be like, okay, I'd be kind of shocked, but then I'd be like, that person is magical, and they're not who they say they are. Anyway, that's how she magically gets out of there. That was supposed to be like an emotional moment, but I was incredibly annoyed by this point. Anyway, long story short, they're able to, of course, get out of the train. I can't remember how. I was practicing drawing the eye roll face because I was annoyed. But so they finally get to that guy who they've been talking to on the phone, and he's made like a set. He's made this like giant elaborate set, and Jane and Dan are there. And the elaborate set is the house that Jane grew up in. And she immediately freaks out. Oh, there was an annoying scene I don't have anything to do it with. Yes, I do. Thanks be to God. There was a super annoying spot where so Jane went into the house that was a replica of her childhood home, right? And they had her go to her childhood room, and there was this like noticeable scene of her, like, so there was a basket of crayons, and the noticeable scene was of her being like with the crayons. I was like, we needed that badly for the plot, thank you. But anyway, so the guy who's been on the phone guy, should I call him E.T. Phone Home? He's like, oh, we need you to give your message. We need you to give your message. And then Jane starts crying, and she's like, I will not be anyone's religion. And I'm like, why would you be anyone's religion? Anyway, okay, so the reason they made the replica of the house she grew up in was so that she and Dan could deliver the message that they so badly needed to deliver, and making that set was going to help her to remember it. It was very strange. Anyway, so they're about to do their thing, but then the bad guys show up, obviously. And I didn't even tell you this because it's such a minimal, like, stupid, minuscule piece of information, but they have this, like, magical elongated rock, the myrrh, magical elongated rock, and it has, like, magical powers if you hold on to it. So when the bad guys come to the studio, and she's like, and they're like freaking out, like they whip out the rock, and of course Emily's the only one who can use it properly, has the power over it or whatever. So she holds the magical elongated rock. I explained it to my husband, he's like, oh, it's a magical dildo, and I was like, basically. So she's got the rock in her hand, and then suddenly the whole crew and set are invisible. And the bad guys roll in. And they're trying to get to them. And I heard other people describe this as like Three Stooges level of like slapstick stupid, because it was. But so they're like they think the set is there, but they can't see. They also have a heat sensing camera, and they see all the people in the heat sensing camera. So, like, you would know for a fact they were there in that case. But, again, I digress. Okay. So she's holding the magical elongated rock, and they all turn invisible, but they can hear them, the bad guys that are right there. So they're trying to, like, get to it, and they bounce off, and it looks so fucking stupid. But anyway, they're able to luckily they just had, a fire truck, like, on hand. So everyone just gets on the fire truck. And, like, the surface is wet, the ground is wet, And like there's no water spilling up or no indication of the truck as they're driving away, but then as soon in the studio, right? But then as soon as they get on the street, like you see all the water and stuff from the truck, and I'm like, editing. I was like, this is like a $120 movie. Sorry, this is a $120 million movie, probably higher, and you guys like couldn't be consecutive, couldn't be consistent. Anyway, they got off, went to the other fucking studio where she was, and everyone who was there, the whole crew from the time before, were like, everything you said to me when you read my mind like 5 days ago was right, so thank you so much. And then, oh, I'm sorry, you guys. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't even tell you this. This is like the most... So the incriminating evidence, incriminating proof that Dan has in the backpack is videos of aliens with the government, with the American government. Okay, he shows it to his girlfriend at the beginning of the movie. I'm pretty sure I wrote it down. I really hope I wrote it down. Okay. I did write it down. Thank God. So he's showing her a video of real footage of an alien, okay, during and around the Roswell time. Okay, so the girlfriend is watching this footage of the alien on a laptop. And she's looking at it and she says, "Is that a child? Is that a person? Is that human?" So either she's incredibly stupid, or the footage is not clear, or both, right? But like, so she can't fucking tell what this image is. I'm just gonna say this. This is a PSA to all filmmakers everywhere, all the time, forever. Sometimes exposition through dialogue is not necessary. Okay? Sometimes exposition through dialogue is not necessary. Write that down. Spielberg. Write that down, my guy, because I guess you forgot. She could have just been shocked looking at this footage. She shouldn't have fucking said, "Is that a child? Is that a human? Is that a person?" So anyway, they go through all this trouble to make the fucking broadcast happen, where Dan uploads all the footage to the Kansas City Nightly News. I don't know who the fuck is watching that other than people in retirement homes. Because people don't watch the news anymore. Like, that's not a thing. Okay, you know what? Even when I see a news clip on YouTube, I'm annoyed with it and I can't watch it because it's so annoying. But like, he's like, he's like putting it in, he's like loading, and he's like, "You gotta put on these clips, you gotta put on these clips." He's like, "Call New York, because they're gonna want to see this too." Okay, so then she's like on the friggin' thing talking, and then they show the clips, and I'm like, listen, if the girlfriend couldn't fucking tell that was an alien in the footage that you showed her on the laptop, do you think that everyone else watching the news is gonna tell? Is gonna be able to tell? Do you think so? Anyway, so it's just incredibly stupid, you guys. This was like fan fiction. This was like pulling teeth. This movie was so annoying to me. All the other news stations just immediately pick it up, and then everyone's immediately all watching it, and they showed like something that would never happen, which is like everyone on a plane is like watching this footage on their phones, And then they go to like a busy street in like New York or a busy town or whatever, and like everyone's stopped on the sidewalk. Everyone's stopped in on their bicycles. Everyone's stopped in their cars. All the drivers are stopped in their cars, like looking at their phones, just like staring at this footage. And I'm like, no one watches the news. And also, like, there was a part where someone was like, is this AI? And they were like, no. No one would think that was real. No one would think that was real if it was just like footage on the news. And they were like, gosh, I don't know. Like, and they had this like also incredibly stupid dialogue from a news anchor. And she was like, oh, I don't know what this is. Oh my gosh, is that blah blah blah? I think, oh my. Okay, let me get to the dumbest part of this movie. The whole thing was dumb. Who am I kidding? While this footage is being broadcasted, right? Oh, sorry. Okay, I didn't even tell you. So at the very end, Colin Firth and his team were like right there, like while she was about to give the broadcast, while she was about to disclose the information because it was disclosure day. They were like, huh! the bad guys were like, huh! Can we get her? Can we get him? About like stopping it, right? And Colin Firth was just like, no, because she showed up as his dead wife. And then all the guys were like, okay, and they left. I wish I was kidding. But I'm not, okay? If you watch the movie, I'm right. Anyway, while they were doing this stupid fucking spectacle of all this like random old ass footage that the girlfriend couldn't tell if it was a child, a human, or even a person, because she wasn't fucking registering that it was an alien, because Spielberg doesn't know that exposition through dialogue isn't always necessary. But anyway, while they were doing that on television and everyone was watching, they just like wheeled out an alien in a wheelchair. Like, where the fuck was he? In the storage unit? They just had like an alien like on hand. Anyway, they wheeled out the alien. He was kind of like, The little girls who played the aliens at the end of Close Encounters of the Third Kind were a lot more impressive. But I digress again. So the last word of the movie is Jane looking at the camera, and she's like, listen, and then the credits roll. And I was like, thanks be to God, this train wreck is over. Okay, I will say one thing. No, I won't, because I don't feel like it. Yeah. Please don't watch this movie. Please do not watch it. Don't do it. Don't see it. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your money. Don't waste your brain, because it will pollute it. Now we can finally talk about, actually, maybe I will say one other thing. Maybe it's time to start saying no to people who don't deserve to have their movie made. Like, I know he's Spielberg, and I know we love him forever, but, like, maybe take a look. Maybe big studios, maybe Universal, you should, like, take a look at the script, see if it's going to be a good movie, and say yes or no to him. Probably say no, because this movie was trash. It was garbage. If this were any other filmmaker, he or she would be lambasted, whatever that fucking word is. He or she would be ridiculed. This would be a dumpster fire. It is a dumpster fire, but it would be more of a dumpster fire if it didn't have Spielberg attached to it. I don't appreciate that. I really don't. And Spielberg shouldn't appreciate that either, because I thought he actually cared about movies as a whole, as an art form, as a business. Maybe he doesn't care anymore. I don't know. I don't know him. Let's talk about obsession. A guy named a younger guy named Curry Barker directed this movie called Obsession, which is so far my favorite movie of the year. Period. Okay. This is a 10 out of 10 phenomenal horror movie that I want everyone to see in the theater because it is an experience that is worth it. I'm telling you. And this movie, hold on, I'm going to ask Alexa at this point. Alexa, what was the budget of the movie Disclosure Day?
Disclosure Day's budget is $115 million.
Okay, I was pretty close. I said 120, didn't I? God, I'm good. Anyway, the movie Obsession cost $750,000 to make, which is pennies. Okay? And I'm pretty sure it's made shit tons of money. I think it's made $1 billion. Honestly. I'm serious. Hold on. I will ask her. Alexa, what's the box office of the movie Obsession?
From Screenrant.com. Obsession's box office total worldwide currently stands at $339.2 million, which has made it one of 2026's highest grossing movies.
Okay, $339 million from a $750,000 movie. That is impressive. This movie was so much fun to watch. This movie was so exciting, and like it really just it's like the experience that watching movies should be, right? It's the feeling that watching a movie in a theater should be. It's the type of thing people want to watch when they go to a movie theater. Okay? This movie was so much fun, and I've already seen it twice, and I'm going to watch it again because my husband hasn't seen it. Okay, so the plot of this movie is there's this guy named Baron, but he's called Bear. And he has a crush on his friend and coworker named Nikki, okay? And he likes her, but he doesn't want to tell her because he's scared. He's a young lad, has trouble expressing himself. Shocker, that's normal. But so he kind of is like basically telling his other friend that he wants to tell her he likes her, that kind of thing. And he goes to this like metaphysical shop, and he gets what's called a one wish willow. And it's just this like tiny little, it's in like a little package, and it's a tiny little branch from a willow, right? It's based on the monkey's paw. This story is based on the monkey's paw. But so he kind of basically just like fails to tell Nick. He tries to tell Nikki that he likes her, but obviously it doesn't really work. He's just not able to tell her. But so he whips out the one wish willow after he drops her off, and you're supposed to break it and make a wish. So he breaks it, and he says, "I wish Nikki loved me more than anyone in the entire fucking world." And then she's immediately obsessed with him and in love with him. So that's the whole plot of the movie. It's a horror, and it's phenomenal. I'm not even going to say that much about it because I want you guys to go watch it. Okay, but I have a quick theory about it, so if you don't want spoilers, just you can turn the video off right now. Thanks for watching. Anyway, now that I've seen this twice, I can have a little bit of a theory about it. I'm wondering if the one wish willow, so things get really scary, right? Things get really out of hand, right? With her being obsessed with him. Obviously, if they didn't, this wouldn't be a movie. But so I'm wondering if there's a teeny tiny bit of leeway with the wish, right? Because at one point she, like, right before everything gets completely crazy, she comes to his house, and he's like, and she says to him, she's like, do you like me? And he says, instead of being like, yeah, Nikki, I like you, you're great, he says, why do you like me? And she says, yeah. She, like, tells him she likes him, right? And I'm just saying, like, he could have kind of backtracked just a little bit and be like, sorry, I'm not into you that way, right? But then we don't know what would have happened with that. But beside the point, this movie is awesome. This movie is fun. This movie is entertaining. This movie is great. And what's so great and so fun about it is, like, you can do a lot with very little. Obviously, like I said, this is a $750,000 movie that made a shit ton more money than Disclosure Day, which was a $115 million movie. But I'm saying, like, you can do so much just with a camera and actors and a good script. Okay, you can. I'm telling you, you can. Curry Barker is proof of that. Everyone who is in this movie, fucking Michael Johnston plays Bear. Indy Navarrete plays Nikki. Phenomenal. Awesome. I love this movie, and I want you guys to go watch it. Go watch Obsession, and don't ever fucking watch Disclosure Day. Goodbye.